Hello everybody. Today I just wanted to talk a bit about what seems to be a change of direction in Sega and how they're approaching the release of Sonic games. The past 10 or so years for Sonic the Hedgehog have been pretty sparse with game releases. Near the beginning of the 2010s there were still a fair few coming out with each other, like Sonic 4 Episode 1 and 2, Sonic Generations, Sonic Freeriders, that sort of time. But the further in we got, the less games we started getting, of questionable quality as well. It felt like the series was becoming more of a budget franchise. However, we've been getting recent announcements from Sega themselves that they intend to double down on Sonic, as well as their other IPs, but I don't really know to what extent for them. But for Sonic specifically, they want to release more. But what we've been hearing from Sega, officially, is that these will be in the forms of remakes and remasters. Now there are rumours of a 2D, like a modern 2D like Sonic Advance game coming out in the next year or so, but that's not been officially confirmed. So all we're hearing from Sega right now is talks about remakes and remasters. With Sonic Origins coming out soon, I suppose that's proof enough that they are intending to follow up on this, it being a collection of remasters. I would say remasters more than remakes if we're being fair here. A collection of remasters for new players to see, whilst delisting the old individual games so that if you want to play them you have to buy the full expensive package. Love to see it. But anyway, yes, Sonic Origins is probably the first of numerous planned remasters and remakes. Of course, Sonic Colors Ultimate, how could I forget, as well. That was another one. Now, it's good to see actual content from Sonic for once, from a game's perspective, because like I said, 2010s, it started to become a bit stale, and I was very much more familiar with the 2000s and the 90s type of Sonic, where we got plenty of games all the time. Hit or miss, didn't matter, there was always another one coming out. So yeah, it's nice that we actually have more things happening now. However, I'm starting to wonder, am I the only one who wants new games? I've heard people talk about, for example, Adventure 1 and 2 remakes would be great. We don't trust them to do Adventure 3, it'll help them teach Sega how to make an Adventure 3 and whatever. But here's the thing. Just because they remake or remaster a game, that doesn't mean that Sega will then make a spiritual successor to that game. It could just be we're doing it and then we move on. You know, Sonic Mania didn't usher into a completely brand new original 2D classic style Sonic game. That didn't happen. And it's not Sonic Origins, because that's a remaster collection. That's not a sequel to Mania, it's not a continuation at all. Sonic Colors Ultimate didn't lead to Sonic Colors 2, thankfully, but it didn't lead to even something spiritually similar to Sonic Colors, where it's a boost 2D focused game, maybe the Wisps are still back, we didn't get that at all. That didn't happen. If anything, we're getting Frontiers, which was going to happen regardless of Colors Ultimate being a good game or not. So there's not really a correlation between remaking and then getting another new game in that order. Some people would be happy enough to get a remaster or remake of those games anyway. And I can understand why. For example, if you've never played them, then there's not really a problem here. If you've never played them, you don't know what you're missing, you've got nothing to compare to, or you've always wanted to try them, but you just couldn't get a hold of the old versions, so now you can play the new ones. That is a completely true thing, and I'm sure it's what Sega's gunning for with the movie popularity right now. But if you have played them, then the remake and remasters can become a bit of a problem if they're not done well. The last thing I would want to see is a bad Sonic Adventure or Sonic Adventure 2 remake remaster. That's the last thing I want to see. If they make the games worse, that's not for me. That's not what I was looking for. And it would also mean that people that never played the originals might get a skewed conception of what they were like. Of course, the internet's done a great job at doing that anyway, so maybe that doesn't matter, but you understand what I'm saying. It might be hard to see how they could make the games so much more problematic just by remaking and remastering them. Think of it like this though. Let's say you like Sonic Adventure for all of its quirks. You just, everything about that game, you like it. Even if you don't, just pretend for this that you do. You like 99% of Sonic Adventure. The remake, if they make one, could maintain the gameplay. It could even use the same code for the gameplay, right? You'll have it down just as you remember it. The graphics could be updated, but would they be updated in the same style, or would they resemble more of the modern aesthetic, which is different from how things looked in Adventure? If you were a fan of Adventure as Adventure is, even if it's higher quality in terms of polygon count, if it's a different art style, that might not sit well with you. And another one, music and voice. Remixes can be cool, but sometimes they're not as good as the original. If the game used a remix soundtrack, you might not like them as much. The voice talent. Maybe you really liked the voices as they were in Adventure, or more specifically, perhaps the voice actors themselves, even if you weren't too fond of the takes. Who's to say they'll just get someone else to recast the character in a remake or a remaster, and that's another element gone. Story details. They may keep the cutscenes intact for the most part, but perhaps they change the dialogue, they change the setup, they remove and exclude and add things that weren't there before. Even if the gameplay is the same, you're looking at a pretty different experience. And for Adventure specifically, the Chow Garden, I can see 100 ways of them screwing it up. Maybe they'll ignore the gradual, multifaceted evolution that a Chow could go over and just make it more linear. Like there's hero, dark, neutral, and then there's fly, swim, run, and power, stamina, and that's it. Chow are way more complicated than that, but I could see them just glossing over it and making a really poor version of it. Or excluding the Chow Garden completely, because that also seems like something that would be done. Anyway, I'm going a bit on about Adventure here. It's not just Adventure that can have these problems. Just think of your game that you really want the most, and then think of it through that lens of, okay, even if the gameplay was perfect, which it might very well not be perfect, is there anything else that might be differed in a remake or a remaster? As someone who has basically played all the games more than once before, what I would much rather see are new games. They can be spiritual successors, or they could just be new, or just a standard sequel. I don't really care. I just want to see new games, new ideas, new attempts, original content, as far as original can be when you've already done so much. Remakes and remasters are not a problem, but if they're all we're getting, then they're just a bit of a distraction rather than a proper release, in my opinion. Mega Collection Plus, or the original, whatever, came out, but at the same time, we were getting plenty of other games too, so sure, I guess it was still a distraction, but it didn't feel bad, and it felt worth going into, because it had a good collection of games. There was more than 4. And then you still got to play everything else, and the collection still gave you original music, which is the music's really good. It gave you glimpses of the comics. It put a couple non-Sonic games in to expand Horizon, and then you could see, oh look, Sonic Riders is coming out, I'll go at that. Which Sonic Riders, not a main game, but it's a spin-off, it's original, feels fun, but you don't have to play it, because then, oh look, Sonic Heroes or Shadow the Hedgehog's coming out, that's the main game. Oh look, Sonic Advance 3 on the Game Boy's coming out. See how it was a bit different then? So whilst, don't get me wrong, I think it's good that Sega's saying, yeah, we're going to go back to trying to make more games instead of what we did in the 2010s. If it's only remakes and remasters being added in to the very slow main game schedule they've been rocking with, then whilst that will definitely be better for some people, if you've played those games and you're skeptical about the quality of the remakes like I am, then it doesn't really change a whole lot from this perspective, because it's not new. But that's just about all I had to say on the matter. Sonic Origins will come out soon, maybe it'll make me eat my words. Silver will actually be a playable character. They're going to add Sonic Advance 1 stages to the game as an unlockable bonus. There's going to be DLC that lets you play as Amy, and maybe I'm completely wrong, and these are actually going to bring in more original content than I thought, to make them feel like a new experience for people who've already played it? I don't think so, but maybe I'll be proven wrong. Alas, we'll have to wait and see. What do you guys think about this topic? Do you want more new games, or are you fine with getting remasters and remakes in between main releases? Probably a good idea to specify if you've played the originals, because that would affect that opinion in a sizable way. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to continue the discourse alongside your comments, please feel free to leave some likes and share them around so that the video can spread more. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor, signing off.